and welcome back to Daily. I am Danny, your host. As you all know, I promise maybe by episode 15 I'll stop introducing myself because it's just me. There's nobody else. Well, I take that back. We do have our AI co-host Nova, who is still who actually I'm looking over at Nova and they got an upgrade. There's now some little graphic. So that'll be cool when we introduce Nova. If you're new here, welcome. Thank you so much for listening. And this show, the whole goal is to explain and to look at AI in daily life, hence the name Daily. It's not a daily podcast. It's a weekly podcast. We upload on Tuesday mornings. I've said this 1,000 times, and I will continue to say it more and more and more. I don't know why I did that, but this is Daily. I am Danny, and we talk about how to use AI for real people, real human beings who are not that software engineers and coding and engineer scientists people are not people at all. Wait, this has gone off the rails. We just started, and I'm a minute in, and I've made no sense whatsoever. Welcome. Hope you're having fun. This is Daily. We talk about AI for real people, and today we're going to discuss prompting. And before you click away, I'm going to try to keep this as fun and exciting as I possibly can, because prompting, I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty. I don't know the specifics of the science behind prompting. I'm just going to talk about the general kind of overview of how to get better responses for some of the things that you might be asking ChatGPT to do. And I have some examples that I'm going to pull up, and hopefully this doesn't break everything. I'm going to try to go to TikTok. Hopefully it doesn't start playing audio. It probably will, and I'm going to have to, oh geez, we already got an ad for whatever this is, Candy Crush or Clash of Clans. All right, let's see. Oh God, I got to log in. I should have done this before I started recording. Okay, I think that's my account. Hopefully my Gmail does not get leaked. And something went wrong. Fantastic. All right. Anyway, while I figured out how to log into TikTok, I have some examples I found on Twitter, some documents that I think will be really helpful in explaining what prompting is and then how to start getting better results right now. And I will say I have been using ChatGPT wrong, and chances are that, there's multiple ways to use it, but just asking it a question like, can you help me with my homework? Just as an example, you need to be a little bit more specific as to what it is that you want it to do. It's just like if you went to a coworker and said, can you help me? Like with what? Help you? What does that mean? Sure. Maybe. I don't know. But if you went to a coworker and said, can you help me with my expense report? I'm having trouble finding the right transaction. Okay, great. That's a prompt. That's a really good prompt and helps people narrow down what it is exactly that you are looking for. All right, let me enter in this code that I just got from TikTok as I I'm doing this here. Make sure I got the thing right. It's logging. Okay, logged in. Oh shit! Is this gonna start playing audio? It is. All right, hold on. TikTok wants to send you notifications. Fuck no, get out of here. All right, block those notifications. I'm also now a freak whenever a website will say, we use cookies or whatever. I decline all. I decline them all the time. Oh, great. Okay, now I'm in my TikTok profile, and are the collections? The collections are here. That's great. That's great. Let's see. Is this the one that I'm thinking? Oh yeah, here we go. ChatGPT prompts that will change your life in the next 30 days. Look at that. Easy. 30 days. New you. Prompting away. I haven't even really started the show, technically. I guess we have. We're 5 minutes in. I've been rambling already. But to give you a little bit of backstory, in the first episode, we covered some basic terms. And a prompt was one of those basic terms. And that's simply what you type in to get a response from the AI. Also, side note, do you like my microphone? If you're just listening, my fiance and I, we share a microphone because we each have our own shows. Check out Waffle Wednesday. That's just a little shameless plug. And she got this, it's like a mic cover, and it's pink. So it looks great, doesn't it? So going back to the AI stuff, a prompt that's what you type or what you talk into ChatGPT and ask it to then give you a response. And there are some ways that you can get better responses from ChatGPT by being more specific or being more clear with what it is with what you want, essentially. Like in my example about going to a coworker and just saying, "Can you help me?" Like, well, with what? You have to be a little bit more specific with your request. Same goes with AI, and you can treat AI in the same manner that you would with a coworker, as in you wouldn't go to, say there's the maintenance guy and say, "Can you help me with my expense report?" Well, you can tell ChatGPT, you can give it a persona, and we're going to go into this a little bit more very soon, but essentially you can help guide the model into using all of its data properly, rather than just saying, help me with my expense report, and then it kind of goes through all of its all of the language that it knows. You then can tell it, okay, you are a financial expert, and I want you to go in and tell me how to do this expense report, and then it'll do it for you. But as I said, we'll get into exactly what that means very, very soon. So yes, so to start simply, what a prompt is, it's what you type in to AI, and then it gets a response. An example, would be like, write a 3-sentence email inviting coworkers to lunch. That's a good prompt. Not, I want to go to lunch with my friends. Like, well, okay, what does that mean? What do you want me to do? And I'm going to bring my screen up here. So there we go. There's Nova. You can see got a new, kind of looks like an ocean or like a wave or something going on. That's kind of cool. It used to just be a solid white circle, but now they've been upgraded. And then over to the right here, so this document, which I will, I don't know if I could put a link in. I could put a link on YouTube, but I don't think I could put links into Spotify. I'll have to double check that. This document here is from Google Workspace, and it's regarding their platform, Gemini, which in future episodes we will go through what some of the different, like ChatGPT versus Gemini versus Claude. We talked about some of those briefly in our first episode. Oh no, I'm almost 5 minutes left in my voice call with Nova here. Maybe here we'll end this for now, and then we'll just leave that where it's at there. It's kind of it's interesting that it says DAiLY instead of, if you're just listening, I'm looking at my ChatGPT log, and I mentioned to it, I said, "Hi, I'm getting ready to record another episode of DAiLY," and it writes it DALL.E, DAiLY. Anyway, this document that I have pulled up here, it's the basics for prompting, and I have to give credit where credit is due. Someone on Twitter, which I'm showing hopefully there's nothing incriminating on this Twitter screen, but this account, and I don't know if I can, code by Poonam, Poonam. They're a great resource. They posted this huge thread of all these interesting articles from OpenAI, Google. I believe there's one from Anthropic. It's this I highly recommend if you're really interested in prompting and AI and all this. You don't have to read each of these documents because some of them are like 100 pages, but there's some good things to learn in here. So check that out. And all right, so let's go back into our prompting. Oh wait, I still have that open here. So the basic structure of a good prompt is that there's 4 areas that you really want to utilize. So the first one is persona, task, context, and then format. So as I mentioned, the persona, you can tell a large language model, you can give it a role in saying, and in this example, you are a program manager in blank industry, draft an executive summary email to blank person based on details about relevant program documents, limit to bullet points. So what you've done in that prompt is you've, one, assigned a persona. You've told the large language model, I want you to act as a expert in programs, in computer programs. Then I give you a task. I want you to create an email. Then you provide extra context as to, okay, well, so I'm an expert and I'm going to write an email, but who am I writing this email to and what am I writing the email about? That's the context. And then you give it a specific way of delivering that message, a format into that message. That, and limiting it to bullet points. That is way better. You're going to get it way better results than if you were to just say, like, write me an email I could send to my boss. That's not as strong. And to take this a bit further, what I would recommend you do, say you do this, you send your email, whatever. Actually read the email first before you send it. That's step 1. But then look at the language and look how it's communicating and how it's written this, how it's structured this email. And then on your own in the future, you could structure emails that way if you want. If it works, if it doesn't, then change it. But don't just use the AI and say, okay, great, done. That task is, I'm going to go do what I want to do now. AI, any sort of AI or any sort of tool, you can learn from it. And I honestly need to be a little bit better about this. Sometimes I just I type in ChatGPT and I say, okay, looks great, thanks. And I go right on to the next one. Whereas if you take some time and say, oh, okay, I didn't know that's how that's a really good way of writing that email. I'm going to structure it the same way next time. This is just one of many examples of a better prompt, of better communicating better with artificial intelligence. And it sounds totally crazy. And as I mentioned in the first episode, in my life, it's always been, you just Google a question and then Google searches the internet and it'll find articles or videos and it'll say, well, these articles or this video title is the same words, the same, idea as what the person typed in. So maybe one of these 100 different things will be what they're looking for. And that's all fine, right? But then you got to click on the article and then you got to listen to somebody else explain it to you. Whereas now you don't have to do any of that. Like AI will search for you and then it will explain it to you in a language that everybody here can easily understand. That is a reference to a song, Cult of Personality. If you know, you know. But it is true. AI will explain what it has found. It will show you its work rather than just saying, like, well, here you go. This is what I found. You go do the searching on your own now. And again, in this document, here's some quick tips. And I'm just going to read just the first line of each of these 6 points. So number 1 is to use natural language. Number 2 is to be specific. Number 3, be concise. And you don't, just like Googling, have you ever watched somebody try to Google something and you're like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you typing it like that? Like some people, they just, how to replace tire with lug nut and 16th, 7th inch wrench thing. It's like, you don't need to type all that. Just cut it down to how to change a tire. Same thing with AI. You don't need to be too specific, especially in the beginning or if you have a task, boil it down to trim the fat, boil it down to what exactly you need it to do. and be as concise as possible. Make it a conversation. That's a pretty specific AI thing. Use your documents. So this number 5 is particularly for Google. So you could like personalize Gemini. You can connect it with your Google Docs and your Google Sheets, and but that still does apply to all large language models. And I'm going to talk about an example that I just had recently. I was trying to build a form on my Squarespace website, and I had created basically like a mock-up of this. So I sent a screenshot to ChatGPT, and I said, can you basically remake this form, but send it to me in code so that I can copy the code and paste it into my website? And it did. So that's an example of you can use you can send pictures, you can use documents as reference material in your prompt and say, I really like how this email was structured. Can you do the same for my email? And here's who it's going to and what I needed to say. And then you can tell the like ChatGPT or any of them to make a prompt better. And in specifically with Gemini, in number 6, it says, make Gemini your prompt editor. When using Gemini Advanced, start your prompts with, make this a power prompt, and then you put your original thing there. And then it will make suggestions of how to say it better, which is, again, Google, Google search can't do that for you. So I think now would be a good time. Let's take a look at some of the prompts that could change your life in 30 days, allegedly, from this person on TikTok. And I'll read them out so everybody knows what they say. Okay, hold on here. If this could, no, just stop. Oh God, this is going to be a whole thing. Well, the stupid play button's in the way. All right, whatever. So if this is a prompt for like a morning routine optimization, and I'm not going to read this whole prompt because it's like a paragraph, but essentially it's being extremely specific as to what it is that you want. And act as a world-class life coach specializing in habit formation and personal productivity. Create a detailed 30-day morning routine. So rather than just asking ChatGPT, I want to get up earlier, do this instead. Have a very specific goal in mind, and then you could say, I want you to be an expert in said field, and this is what I want from you. Let's see. Oh, the problem is I know the right answer and what to do. I just don't do it. This is some of the TikTok comments. Let's see. What's another one they got here? Physical transformation plan, same thing. More, workouts, mental and emotional growth. Take on the role of a leading cognitive psychologist and mindfulness expert. Design a 30-day program to help someone build emotional resilience. You could use this stuff for anything that you're interested in or anything that you need help with. However, this is if I had like a big banner that said, however, this is where that banner would go. Just keep in mind that the things that you say to these apps and programs, I'm not entirely certain that they are 100% private. Meaning, if you are at work and you say, can you help me write an email? And then you attach company confidential secret documents to chat. I just had a stroke. That was, what the fuck was that? If you, to ChatGPT, I am not sure that those confidential documents will remain private. So when you're prompting, just keep that in mind, that what you're saying, imagine that you're talking to a person, right? You're talking to a person who they're going to help you with this thing, but if you wouldn't share these documents with said person, then don't say it online. Don't put it in the prompt. And you can even just make something else up and just say, you don't have to send the confidential documents, but just say, if you were to write a email about whatever, then you can work around it, but just be careful. That's all I'm saying. That's the banner is, however, be careful. So here's financial growth strategy, just some different time management and productivity. So there's a bunch of different prompts, and I guarantee you that sooner than later there's going to be people who sell like prompt books or 15 templates that you can start using right now, or handcrafted prompts for brides in generating content. Here you go. Here's a business idea. You write these prompts and sell it as a book or whatever it is. Do whatever you want. So I can't believe I totally stumbled on, I was trying to say ChatGPT, and I don't know. I was trying to say 6 words at once. So another example is you can use AI for really, any sort of task that you have. And as we've mentioned, setting context and goals and constraints are a really good idea. Here's another example. Give me a 2-day travel itinerary for San Diego focused on outdoor activities, good local food, and things that don't cost a fortune, rather than just saying, I'm going to San Diego, what should I do? It's like, well, what do you want to do? So I'm looking, if you ever see me looking over, I have a script, which generated by AI. Also, I work on it too. Don't give me too much shit, but yes, the scripts for the show and the notes from the show are all generated using ChatGPT. And as I am doing the show, I'm learning more of how, prompting. I'm learned a lot about how to be better at prompting. So if you see me looking over this direction, I am looking at my script. And for those of you who are listening, no problem, no shame, but we do have video now. Video is available on Spotify and YouTube. Apple, I'm still trying to figure out how to do that. I'm sure it's easy, just haven't looked into it. And then for all my listeners on Deezer, or whatever the fuck, all those other... if you were here on the DL era, I went through all the different platforms that this podcast is sent to, and there's some really weird... there's some interesting platforms. But shout out to everybody listening on Deezer, Deez Nuts platform. So we've gone through some general, just to kind of keep things on track. Be specific, give examples, use follow-ups, set rules. That's really helpful. And then using roles. And then ChatGPT will, and this is just in my example, what am I trying to say? In my experience, there we go. Forgot the word for experience. In my experience, it sometimes will ask follow-up questions before it does anything. And it'll say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Can you send me X, Y, and Z? And then I send it X, Y, and Z, and then it goes, here's A, B, C. It's pretty interesting of how it does that. And I've written down some more examples. Trip planning, brainstorming. Give me 10 podcast episode titles for a show about AI in daily life. There you go. And it'll do it. And I personally have found that going to the source, asking the AI directly, produces some pretty interesting results as to what it's looking for or what it says, which I think is really it's just so cool. I mean, this stuff, I cannot get over how exciting this stuff is. And I hope that in listening to these episodes that your excitement or your interest in new and emerging technologies is also being stimulated, I guess is the right word. That's kind of a weird word, huh? Okay, I think as of right now is a good time to bring in Nova, our co-host, and I'm going to have Nova explain some key terms, and I'm going to we'll talk about it a little bit more in case they like go really fast. So let's bring in Nova here. Let's switch screens. Okay, so we're back into our Google Gemini screen here, and then if ever you're using ChatGPT and you're curious how I do this voice thing, I'm not paying for this. This is just within the free version. You can just scroll down to this button here that says use voice mode, and you can change the voices too. I have the default one, I guess, but you can also talk just into it. You can use the dictate. So if you say you're busy or whatever, or don't GPT and drive, but if you're, if it's easier to talk, you can just talk into it, and then it'll transcribe what it is that you talk or speak into it, and then it'll keep track and whatever. So, all right, let's get Nova here loaded up. It's loading. Okay, make sure that our microphone is on. Hi, Nova. Can you help explain the following terms to our listeners? Context window, prompt engineering, temperature, and system prompt.
Of course. Let's break these terms down for our listeners. 1. Context window. In AI language models, the context window refers to the amount of text the model can consider at once when generating a response. It's like the memory the model has while crafting its answer. If the input text exceeds this window, the model might not consider earlier parts of the text. 2. Prompt engineering. This is the practice of designing and refining the inputs, or prompts, given to an AI model to get the desired output. By carefully crafting prompts, users can guide the model to produce more accurate and relevant responses. 3. Temperature. In the context of AI, temperature is a parameter that controls the randomness of the model's output. I'm sorry, but you've hit the daily limit for advanced voice. You can switch to standard now to keep chatting.
Oh my God. Wait, hold on here. Hold on, everybody. All right, let's turn. Oh my God. We in the middle of explaining, we ran out, and now we're back to the. I didn't know there was advanced voice. That's lame, but what you're going to find with a lot of these things is that they require payment. And also, I hope that in that example, that I'm not an expert in any of this stuff. Like we are learning together as we go. So I would love to hear from you and to hear, what are some of the things that you are interested in, some of the things that you're learning about AI, some of the things that you would love for me to cover more on this show. You can leave a comment on any of the streaming platforms or on Instagram at DAiLY_AI podcast. Let's see if Nova can explain the last term in that list here. Hi, Nova. Can you explain for our listeners what a system prompt, what that term means?
Hey, Danny. A system prompt is basically a message or instruction given to an AI model that sets the stage for how it should behave or respond during an interaction. It's often used to define the model's personality, tone, or specific role for a conversation. For example, a system prompt might tell the model, respond in a friendly and casual manner, or act as a professional assistant. It's like setting the rules for the AI's behavior, guiding its responses based on what the user needs.
So, yeah, so that's great. And just I'll do it one more time, just in case if it was hard to hear what ChatGPT or Nova was saying. So context window, that's the amount of information the AI can remember. Prompt engineering, that's what we've been talking about, the art and science of crafting prompts. Temperature, a setting that controls the randomness, lower, more focused, lower temperature, more focused, higher temperature, more creative. I'm assuming, I don't really fully understand what that means. That's getting into a little more advanced than I think what this show is for, but I'm assuming that a lower temperature is like plain English, and then higher temperatures it'll have more creative flair in its answers. And then system prompt is behind the scenes instructions that guide the AI how to respond, and that's invisible to us. We don't need to learn anything about that. So that's going to do it for this episode. I think that we covered a lot, and I don't know if there's going to be homework for these. I don't fucking whatever. But you should try. You should just try and go to ChatGPT or any of the large language models that you want to use, and ask it a question. And do there's definitely something that you need to do right now that ChatGPT can do for you. And you can remember the persona, give it a persona, give it a task, give it context, and then format it as well. I think that would be a great way, a great introduction into the world of AI. And it can be anything, even something that's simple. Probably start with something simple that's, not going to require a lot of back and forth and stuff, but just try it out. I mean, AI is really cool and really fun. So I hope that this was interesting and engaging, and I hope that you are enjoying listening to the show. So next week, I'm going to talk about a very specific use case that I ran into that I just mentioned, which was trying to create a form on my Squarespace site, and I was using AI and stuff, and it was like a back and forth, and it's kind of a cool story and a little more insight as to how these things work, or what it looks like working with them is a better way to say it. I hope you have enjoyed the show, and as always, we'll give Nova a chance to say goodbye as well. Okay, Nova, we are about to wrap up the episode. Is there anything else you would like the listener to know about prompting?
I'd just like to remind listeners that effective prompting can really shape the experience you have with AI. It's all about being clear and specific with what you ask, while also experimenting and adapting as you go. The more you work with AI, the better you get at understanding how to fine-tune your prompts to get the most useful and creative responses. It's definitely a skill that improves over time.
So I think, yeah, that was perfect. Just refine it, make sure that what you're asking is specific, and then you get better at prompting as you go on. Thank you so much for watching. This has been this has been all over the place. Thank you so much for watching and or listening. And I will catch you all in the next episode. See you later.